And in the past, we've had SharePoint-based systems for sharing files, and now we're also kind of transitioning towards an Office 365 and SharePoint 2013 system, right? So when it comes to OneNote documents, like we're still very, very new with them. So this is what our kind of typical class site would look like. And the reason why really we're gravitating towards things like SharePoint is that you have that newsfeed like we're talking about. I can make OneNote documents really easily inside like a class site if I wanted to. And there's really, really rich like discussion boards and blogs and wikis. Now, for like teacher-made ones, I wanted to show actually kind of like as real teacher examples as I could. I myself, I'm a science teacher, but I went and hit up another old science teacher to kind of show me some of the work I did with OneNote, and they used it mainly to. Oh, that's a neat little error. I've never actually seen that before. Let me refresh my browser, and maybe magically everything will work.
I do that too.
It's okay. It's cool. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. So in this case, so there's a high school teacher teaching grade 9 science. They already have, and most of the time we have a large amount of teachers will have a large library of PowerPoint files or Word documents kind of already lying around, but they don't necessarily have a lot of organization. So they've used OneNote to organize and plan out essentially their entire course, unit by unit, day by day. So there'd be, let's say, day 15, and then like, all the things they're going to do during that day, and then the links dynamically to those OneNote files. So not really using ink or anything like that. They're really using it as one way, kind of the most basic way of just linking files, right? And I guess the next part about this is that they can share those OneNote files really, really easily with each other. Now, if I were to look at something else, one of the other things that we were thinking about doing with OneNote is there's been a lot of discussion, especially with the elementary grades, is the importance of e-portfolios, right? And personally, there's kind of debates with e-portfolios, how do you want to do an e-portfolio? Do you want to use something like an external service, like a D2L e-portfolio, right? Or would you want to use something like a continuing Google Doc that would kind of take a teacher or student would continually add things to during their educational career? I'm typically one to kind of favor a portable document format that I know will have a life of 5+ years, right? So I can't promise that if a student were to use, let's say, Weebly or a website creation tool, that product would be around 5 years from now, right? Because things on the internet just don't last that long, right? And companies kind of fly and die very quickly. So here we just show a OneNote document that can be embedded essentially inside of like a SharePoint web page using an iframe, but then the kid could go into it and then essentially start to build an online portfolio, right, of all of their work, right? So this one is just a mock-up because we're still kind of testing and playing around with things.
Right.
Let me close this guy.
That's cool.
Another thing to do is actually I'm going into work with a gym teacher a couple days from now, and you'll notice that all of my OneNote stuff is very, very web app based. Realistically, all that the teachers are going to have access to is the web app right now on our board. Hopefully in time for second semester, we will get for the full suite of 2013, like Office 2013, we have a mix of 2007 and 2010, really kind of all throughout the school board. In some schools, they had elected not to purchase Office on student or teacher computers, so you'd find like, free software packages which often aren't as good. Now, at least with Office 365, you have kind of one base level kind of document handling and one base level of format. But anyway, with this gym teacher, they had an idea that they wanted to be able to create almost like a log for their students, but even it's like a series of check bricks. So they want to be able to mark, but kind of in a mobile way. So the teacher may have an iPad and they're, let's say, in the weight room, and they had a series of exercises or they had a series of behaviors that they wanted to check. The idea with the OneNote is they could have this open and pre-made. They can check off skills as they see the student essentially do them. And then because it's the web app, it's essentially synced. So they can go home to their own computer and that document is synced. Even though they were working on it in the gym, they can go basically anywhere in the world and they have access to that same document, right?
Cool.
Let's see. Yeah, so that's what it was very, very short, and a lot of it is based on the fact that OneNote is extremely new to us.
That's great. And Dave, again, can you just maybe talk about why you're actually interested in moving forward with OneNote? with all of the tools that are out there?
I like the idea, like I kind of saw the full power of OneNote because I had a Surface tablet to play around with. Now, it wasn't a Surface Pro, so I didn't have like an awesome digitizer, but I did like the fact that you had things like ink to equations, right? I was a science teacher, so I liked the fact that I had ink to equations. I also liked the fact that I could have recorded notes, I could easily mobilize it, right? So let's say I was a teacher and I wanted to, let's say in this particular example here, it says comments. This could be a picture that came from the camera produced by the device, right? So this isn't like a picture that I find on the internet. So a lot has been done in assessment around triangulation of evidence, right? And it's the idea that I can take a picture, I can count that as evidence, I could have a recording of student work, I could have a movie, right? All the way to the extent in which we mark kids, they don't just have to be tests.